Hello, willkommen, bienvenue. It's time for another Amish Inquisition, episode 428 on Sunday, the 5th of July, 2026. I'm Phil.
And I am Matt.
And tonight we're very happy to be joined by renegade rebel Bob Osborne. Can you hear us, Bob? Oh, he's disappeared.
I can hear you. Can you see me?
You can.
Have I gone dark?
Yeah, you've gone dark.
Bloody MI6 again.
I know.
They knew you were coming.
Every time.
Well,
You were, we had a 5-minute chat before the podcast. Everything was running smoothly.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we try and set up the stream, everything stopped working, including.
I don't think I've done anything.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop your video and then I'm going to give you a request to start it again and see if anything happens.
Yeah.
Start your video. Oh, hang on a minute. Late. Oh, God.
Start
Do
it
it again.
later.
Do it again. Do it again. Okay.
Oh,
this black screen of death. There's another instance. Shall I remove this other Bob from the waiting room?
Get rid of.
Yeah.
Oh,
gosh,
a finger.
we've got some skin.
Yeah. Oh,
You've got skin.
It's another giant testicle.
I think it's a
It's
testicle.
my foreskin. We had that problem last time, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, we're gonna get banned. Yeah, that definitely looks like a finger of some sort, doesn't it?
Is it my... I don't know why that's there. It looks like a nipple.
Yeah, it could be an areola.
I don't know what's happened.
It's like you're on your iPad, aren't you? So you don't have a lens cover that you've just tried to swipe. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Hang on a minute. What's that?
Was that the
You know what happened?
Yeah.
I'm on my... I put my phone against the iPad to... What's gone? Hang on. To prop it up so it wouldn't fall down. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that. Yeah, okay.
It looks like your camera's following you around the room, Bob. It looks really professional.
What kind of?
It is following me around the room. Yeah, my bad.
It's an MI6 iPad. That isn't
They're
it?
probably spying on you through it, Bob.
Well, they're spying on all of us through it. We know that. You don't even need to have it with you now because they've got into your head.
Really?
Anyway, we're not going to talk about MI6. Maybe a little bit.
Oh, what are we going to talk about, Bob?
Well, we're going to talk about my new book called Be Lucky. But before you ask me any questions, before I talk, I've got a very quick question for you, because I've had a few people ask me when I said I'm going on the Amish Inquisition, why are you the Amish Inquisition?
Oh, I thought
not the Spanish Inquisition.
Why are you going on there, for fuck's sake? It would be my question.
Yes.
It was just a play on the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Plus, nobody would listen to an Amish Inquisition podcast because they're not allowed.
It's oxymoronic, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Podcasts, when did podcasts really start? I want to say sort of mid-noughties, 2005, 2006, maybe, the first mainstream podcast started. So, 10 years odd later when we started, they were still fairly new, fairly cutting edge.
Mm-hmm.
And so the juxtaposition of sort of cutting edge technology with a community that shuns technology just seemed, I don't know.
Oh, right. So there's
nice
no
bit of
Amish
irony.
community in Preston that you two go around on horses and carts?
No, they wouldn't let me in with Tash, Bob. You're not allowed a Tash, are you?
Aren't you? Okay.
Apparently
well, talking of horses and carts, that's a good segue in.
Yeah.
Why have I written this book? Well, I have had a really weird childhood, and I come from two very strange bloodlines, so I felt really compelled to write it. As you know, I've written other books about cash and Zen and things like this, but this is one thing I've always wanted to do. So Be lucky. When I first decided to write my autobiography, I just started on my ancestors. And number two bloodlines are really weird. One is through my father's line, which goes back to the Rebel Not Taken brand, which I'll explain in a minute. And that's to do with rebellion, trying to overthrow the monarchy, all the good things. On my mother's side, my great uncle was one of the biggest freaks of the 20th century, and that was George the Giant Augur. I wanted to write a whole book about him, but then when I put it to, I canvassed around, all the images I've got, which, are in the book, as incredible black and white photographs, they were all owned by Getty.
Wow.
So I've got photographs of him with Charlie Chaplin. I'll talk about him in a minute. But the reason I wanted to write this book is I decided, I've been like so diverted by everything all my life, and I've had such extraordinary things happen to me. Like mentioned, really, synchronicity is like just followed me around all the time, and I wanted to work out why. If you see the cover of that book, that's me when I'm living in a cave in Crete in 1977. Okay. There we are. Don't look any different now. And how I got to be living in this cave that was previously occupied by Joni Mitchell when I was 23 years old, it really, like, I couldn't work it out, given where I've come from and where my ancestors come from. So I used this photograph as the cover. And when I started writing about my George the Giant, about the Rebel Not Taken ancestors, and then my childhood, and then my time in a quasi-military school, I'd already gone through, I'd hardly touched the surface. And I decided to do it in 3 volumes, which is a bit grandiose, really, because people have said to me, well, you're writing your autobiography, that's great, but you're doing 3 volumes as well, which is like Proust did 3 volumes. I said, well, to be honest, I'm not trying to sensationalize myself, but there's so much that I couldn't even cover it in 3 volumes. So the first volume is about the Rebel Not Taken story, about my very strange bloodline, the George the Giant Augur story, then my childhood, which was really fucked up because I was, from a Romany Gypsy background on my father's side. So we had a very strange time. Then I got sent to this quasi-military school. So after that, I was involved a bit with some dodgy stuff. And so I disappeared to live in this cave in Crete. And that's the end of this particular volume. And the second volume, which I'm about to start, is all my time in London when I came back from Crete. And that involves a bit of espionage. I did 2 sellout Saatchi shows, which is common knowledge, with my Cassius King project. I was a wine taster who traveled around the world for 10 years. The third volume, the second volume is called On the Naughty Step, and I always seem to have been on the naughty step. For everything I do, I'm always in trouble. The third volume is going to be my time in Cornwall, which got even weirder because then I was involved with witchcraft, more espionage, some MI6 stuff, and dabbling in the occult. Had a child 3 years ago when I was 69. So my life has just been a perpetual roller coaster of drama, really weird adventures, and I'm quite amazed that I survived all this. But that's why it's called Be Lucky. So the reason it's called Be Lucky is that as a child, my dad was always in the betting offices, and my nan was a Romany Gypsy. So she passed on the gifts to me of second sight or clairvoyance or remote viewing, whatever you want to call it, on the basis that I was a blonde child, and all my other relatives were dark, very classical gypsies. So these gifts were passed on me on the basis that I don't use them for bad purposes. So I always have the belief that whatever trouble I get into, I'm going to get out of trouble if I don't use my gifts, my psychic gifts or my other gifts for bad purposes. So that's why it's called Be Lucky. So just going back to firstly, the Rebel Not Taken brand, that's my brand, and I've got it tattooed on my arm, which I don't think you can see there.
Yeah, and that's the website as well, by the way.
Yes, I've got a clothing range. And how it came about is that on my father's side, going back 7 generations, my ancestor was called Alexander Osborne, and he joined up as a mercenary to overthrow the monarchy of King James II. So he was a Somerset peasant, and he took part in what's called the Pitchfork Rebellion. So at the start of this book, I wondered why I've got such a rebellious gene. I've always had a real problem with authority, and authority has always had a problem with me. So by going back through history and genealogical research, you can kind of more or less look at how your DNA is structured and why you do the things you do. So I'm not going to do a history about the Battle of Sedgemoor, but what happened was he joined this troop of renegades with a view of marching on Bristol, then marching to overthrow the monarchy. And this was commanded by a guy called the Duke of Monmouth, who's an absolute playboy. But he had he had the common touch, so the peasants got behind him. So they decided to do this, and then they were really armed with pitchforks. I mean, they were just like ne'er-do-wells, and a lot of them were rabble-rousers as well. So they went against John Churchill's troops. They were slaughtered at the Battle of Sedgemoor and cut down. And the ones that were killed, the ones that escaped, were hung, drawn, and quartered by Judge Jeffreys. Judge Jeffreys was this malefic judge who was tasked with like rounding up all these rebels, and like he was like very, very cruel. Anyway, he used to hang, draw, and quarter and put the entrails of these peasants up on trees so that it would, dissuade future disaffected peasants from rebelling. So my grandfather escaped. Not many did escape. The ones that were caught were sent as slaves to the Caribbean. They were sold as other slaves to other parts of the world, or just literally brutally cut down. So my grandfather escaped, and that's partly why I'm here in a way, because he was in hiding in the woods for 2 years. So after 2 years, they got rid of the king, the rebels were pardoned, and he came out of hiding. So then he resumed his life in Somerset. But a cousin of mine who's a genealogist worked out that the progeny from this one man, Alexander Osborne, at the moment is 250,000 people. So I have what's called a fertile DNA. So all through that paternal line, all of them had 8 or 9 children at least. On my mother's side, George the Giant was one of 20, and my father's one of 12, possibly 18, but 12 survived into adulthood. So there's lots of photographs of my father and my grandfather. And going back through these generations, when I found out about the Rebel Not Taken brand, I decided to use it as my art brand because it was ideal. So that's where my Rebel Not Taken brand comes from. And I have a clothing range, and I've never taken any money from Rebel Not Taken. I've used it to publish all my books, and it's very much attached to that Be Lucky thing. So the first chapter on this book is really, laying out how I'm descended from this man, and the chances of me being here are really not that great, really. So I do think it was lucky. Going back to my father and my grandfather, there's a big chapter in this book called The Osbornes, and I really wanted to write this chapter because it was really a really weird childhood, in the sense they were all like borderline insane. I mean, lots of them were in lunatic bins. My father had 10, 11 brothers, and I grew up with all these people. And one did 21 years in Brixton. He was pulled in for the Great Train Robbery, which he wasn't involved with, but he was involved with other stuff. Another one in the 50s set up the first illegal betting shop in Notting Hill Gate with a guy called Ruby Sparks, who was a well-known criminal. So they were all dabbling in crime. None of them could really write, well, officially, but they could read like Sporting Life and things like that. So when people used to come around with documents or complain, we had vans, we had horses and carts. And as I mentioned on a previous podcast, we had a pet monkey called Wanker and a parrot called Fuck Off. And I think when I came on your first podcast about 3 years ago, we were going to talk about Jack Parsons and, Ron Hubbard and Aleister Crowley and all that serious stuff. And when I was kind of mentioning my childhood, I remember that got quite a reaction. Yeah. And I noticed that it went viral in Australia because some Dumb and Dumber picked up this, and it went around. So all the other stuff I was going to talk about, got shadowed by the fact that this really strange childhood. And I think it's a bit of a US, a unique thing that I wanted to develop because, I wanted to tell these stories. And when I tell them, people actually can't believe that it's actually happened. So it's remarkable. So I have written this book. There's lots of stories about what my uncles got up to. Again, them not being able to read or write was a very significant thing for me because when I was a child, I was like a prodigal child. I could play chess. I could time travel back to Venice. I don't remember anything about between 4 and 11 except, time traveling, playing chess, and hanging out with my mum and dad, who were like both very young and not really equipped to have children. So that's why I got picked up to go to this quasi-military school, because I was being tested all the time as a child. And what was then the British Eugenics Society changed its name to the Galton Institute, clearly because the Galton Institute sounds a lot better than eugenics, which I'm very interested in. And so it was run by London Council and also the LSE. So they were looking for children all the time in Project Oak Tree. And if they could find children who were dysfunctional or psychic, or they often would like track you. So I ticked all those boxes. And then I got this scholarship to go to this quasi-military school, which was on the Freemasonic lines and was RAF. So the two governors were like Douglas Bader, the guy with the tin legs from the war, and Bomber Harris, who bombed Dresden. So it was very military, and I didn't really fit in. So I had to go because it was a way of me getting out of the poverty trap. And like my mother and all my grandparents decided that I should go and get a decent education. But then again, I also considered that I was getting the best education on the streets and in the markets, because we were running market stores, we were running a lot of scams. We were involved with prostitution and a lot of things like, at the time in the 60s was very interesting. So I had this dual education of having an official education and having the education with my Roni Gypsy family, my mother's side and my father's side. They were both had Gypsy blood. So 1964 was a really significant kind of make or break year for me. And I think when I talk about Be Lucky, that was quite a difficult year. And I think under different circumstances, if we were where we are now, as opposed to 1964, I would have almost certainly been put into care, because my grandfather on my mother's side put his head in the gas oven. He was in the war in the submarines, had the bends. My grandmother also died. And on my father's side, my other grandparents, who pretty much had been looking after me, also died. So aged 11, I'm sent to this military school where we're getting systematically beaten, for whatever reason. And in order for us to get to this school, we had to go to this interview and persuade the governors that I was a worthy candidate. So my mum said, we can't tell the governors that your dad's a rag and bone man. Also, steptoe was kind of based on my father and my grandfather, because there's a lot of steptoes in my family line as well. So they probably took that name as well. So we had to tell him he was an antique dealer. He was away on business, but in fact he was like probably in the pub. So already I'm lying to the establishment. And then they found out, because when my mother had a breakdown when I was 11, she went off to live in Spain. And then I went to live with my dad. So he would take me to school on the horse and cart. So the school found out that I wasn't who I said I was. And then I was getting systematically beaten, which was okay, because I used to train my gluteus maximus muscles, because you get choices back in the day then by sadistic schools, that if you came on the wrist, on the palm, or on the buttocks, and the buttocks is the best place. So I'll be running up a sandhill to really get firm glutes, and always chose that option. So there was always a way of subverting authority, beating them at their own games. I was obsessed with getting back at them. One of my favorite quotes is George Herbert, the metaphysical poet, which is living well is the best revenge. So going back briefly to 64, it got worse, and I've written quite extensively in this book, and it can be quite shocking and maybe triggering for some people who don't really know about what it was like growing up then. But my dad was running a prostitute called Rose, so I was partly living with him, and we spent all our time in the pubs. Her partner, her boyfriend, was a psychopath who killed someone with an axe, so he was in prison. On my mother's side, my mother had a breakdown, and she left me in care of her best friend, who was an astrologer called Dominique, who was actually lovely, but very eccentric. She had 6 children by 6 different men, and she was a dominatrix. So I'm living in her house part of the time, and in my father's weren't even houses. It was crashing out we were squatting quite a lot for the other time. And this dominatrix, when I say that I've got a really dark sense of humor, and it's got me through a lot, her main client was Ken Dodd, the comedian. Yes, I know, it's a claim to fame. So she used to go up to the London Palladium.
Is that where the tickling stick came from?
Yeah, I think so. He's very keen on her, and so she used to go up to the London Palladium. So this all happened I'm in this world of prostitution, crime, family in and out of prison, alcoholics, and for some reason I was always cheerful. and like it was such a lot of fun. So I've written a big chapter on what I call the Osbornes, which is all my father's brothers, and all I can remember is just like one big drama. But they were like, they never cowed down to authority. They were in and out of prison. They kept their spirits up, and I felt as though I had to write this book because they couldn't really read or write, most of them, and like I had that ability, and I've always revered language. And of course, they all spoke in this strange language, which is a combination of rhyming, slang, a bit of gypsy. So almost like we had an underground language. Hence, I've always been fascinated by slang, unlike subverting language, which is what, was one of my main things as a writer. But getting all these experiences as a child, I always knew that I was going to be a writer or an artist or a rebel or maybe in prison if I hadn't had the education. So I've also put the quote in that your childhood is the surreptitious bank balance of the writer. So all the time I'm soaking up this information, I'm observing things, I'm gathering all these experiences and surviving. And then I've said to someone the other day, I'd rather be in the care of prostitutes than the care of, or I'm not going to say PDFs, but, like military school teachers, So I managed to endure it for quite a few years. And then in 1970, I dropped out, became a hippie, took my first tab of LSD, and then spent a lot of years traveling around Greece, writing poetry. I was very successful. I met incredible people. Every time I went somewhere, like that last photograph of me in the cave in Crete was pretty much the epitome of my youth, because I turned up on this village called Matala in Greece where Joni Mitchell had previously lived, and she'd carved her name in the cove, in the rocks outside the cave. I was taken in, I was in doing a bit of work. There was a cafe there, we were getting octopus. During that summer, I think it's the healthiest I've ever been and the freest I've ever been, because we were just swimming, eating good food. I managed to hook up with a Swedish girl called Charlie, spent the summer with her, or half the summer. She went back and then was replaced by her mother called Britta, who then came out, and I spent the second part of the summer with her. So I'm 23. I'm living in this cave in Crete. I've got mates coming out from London to stay for a week or two. They're saying, how have you got to this position where you're living in this cave and you're going out with the Swedish girl, you're also having a relationship with her mother? And it was, both of them were okay about this. This was like a very free time to live. And I was used to a lot of personal freedom in my life. So that's why I use that as the end of this book. Be lucky. The last chapter is my time in Crete. And I was trying to work out how I got to be in this privileged position of having a wonderful life. So the last line is, I've had to go back to London. I've got a girlfriend there. Her parents are spies in Moscow, which was true. So that's how I got to be in this cave in Crete. And when I got there, I thought, I can't really do the rest of my life because there's too much to tell. So the second volume is going to be called On the Naughty Step, as I said, and the third one is called Witches and Spies. And it goes into a lot of why I've always been involved with witchcraft and espionage. But that's another story. So I thought my father's family were weird until a genealogist friend of mine, a cousin of mine, gave me the information about George the Giant Augur, which was already out in the public domain. You can Google it. He was my great uncle, and he was at the time one of 20 by my great grandfather, and my granny was the 16th of these children. He in 1900 was a giant. For some reason, he was 8 foot tall. And all my family, none of them have this thyroid problem, so they're all normal size to short. So he'd gone to New York, and he was at the circus in London at Barnum and Bailey Circus. So he was in the crowd, and the guy from Barnum and Bailey pulled him up to the stage, and he was like head and shoulders above their own giant. So they employed him, took him to America to appear in the freak shows. But prior to that, he was Queen Victoria's private bodyguard, and I've written quite an extensive chapter on this. And also, he'd fathered a child at 16, and they thought he was a grown man, and he was constantly being arrested. At the time, I mean, this is one of the biggest freaks of the 20th century. So he had this also that has lucky gene, because he went there and immediately he was then signed up to be in the silent movies with Harold Lloyd and Charlie Chaplin. And that's an incredible story, because he was then on the freak shows with all the midgets. I don't know if you're allowed to say that, but I've got all the photographs of him with dwarves in his pockets. There's a famous photograph I've got with a guy. I don't know if I can show it here, but it's in the book where he's standing with Harold Lloyd. And there's another guy called Francesco Lentini, who was one of the people in this troupe of eccentric freaks who had 3 legs and 2 penises. And there was him that he used to appear with. And he's also holding this little midget called Miss Wee Wee, who was a famous midget actress at the time, a black actress. So, like, literally, he was in this world of freaks. And behind me, I don't know if you can see, but I've got a freak show sign there.
Yeah.
I do when I started doing my interviews for for my own Rebel Not Taken channel, people were saying, "Oh, it's a bit insulting, put them all in front of the freak shows." And I said, "Well, no, because I'm fascinated by freaks. My great uncle was one of the biggest freaks of the 20th century. As far as I'm concerned, all my family were like either freaks or eccentric or insane, and I hang out with a lot of crazy people.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a good thing. But the thing about George the Giant is that all these photographs, as I said, were owned by Getty. And when I wanted to write a book about him, I realized that I'd have to like get these permissions. So I get around it by like, my books don't really make any money. I do limited editions, and I kind of don't charge. I only charge what it would cost me to print them. So I consider them to be academic. But when I got all the information, and then I got all these photographs together, I realized that this really would make a fantastic book. But I've done the best to document it all in there, and some of the photographs are amazing. Also, I've got George August's ring, which is there.
Can't see that.
This is
Wow.
this is his. This is passed on to me by another one of my cousins, because I am the actual family archivist for both my mother's and my father's line. So, like, when I write these books, a lot of them go to my cousins, some of whom can't read or write. I imagine I've got hundreds and hundreds of cousins, but that's why I put lots of pictures in, because they love the pictures, especially the old black and white ones. So I got this ring, which was made in 1920. George the Giant was a real entrepreneur, and he would charge people to come and take photographs of him with their normal sized children and normal sized adults. He also was a wrestler. I think he challenged Jack Johnson, the boxer at the time, the Galveston Giant, to a fight. And he became quite a celebrity on the New York stage because he wrote a play called Jack the Giant Killer. So this ring is now in my possession. And I was actually joking the other day with someone, like, if I get married for a third time, my to-be wife needs to fit this ring. And the reason I find that amusing is because when BBC Wales came to interview me about George the Giant, they were doing a feature on giganticism. And like, I was like, at the time I was doing a lot of research and I was trolling them a little bit, but I said, look, this isn't giganticism, this is a Nephilim throwback. So George the Giant is a Nephilim. And I also come from a Nephilim bloodline. Now, at the time I thought, oh, this is just like, I'm joking because I don't really like the BBC very much. He said, stop right there. We can't run this. It's a conspiracy theory. So I thought, okay. And then as I then started researching the Nephilim, I decided there was some credence in this. So the chapter I've wrote about the Nephilim is about how they were men of old, men of renown, and they came into the human women and bore lots of children. And of course, he was one of 20. All through my family line, we've got this fertile DNA. So it started me thinking that maybe there is a thing like a possibility of being a Nephilim throwback. And when I started doing that research, I'm very interested in Nephilim. Like when I was doing street art, I was always pasting like Frankenstein up on walls, and I did a lot of work on Frankenstein. Also did a lot of work on silent comedians. So I was doing Charlie Chaplin when I was doing street art. I got quite well known for that, under the name Defy. As an aside, I had a connection with Banksy, which I might write about in my second book as well, which is ongoing. So I thought, that somehow we have this mentality where we don't seem fully human. And it's been said to me sometimes that when you get into these situations, like he got very lucky, really, because he had a charmed life as well. And he could have just been like a freak. But unfortunately, when he signed up with Harold Lloyd to be in the silent movies by Hal Roach, he then died age 40, and they had to winch his body down from a New York apartment, and he had like a burial in New York, and like thousands of children that were there, because he was a real big celebrity at the time, and the Queen Victoria's bodyguard. This is all documented. And when I found out that, obviously I didn't know, my nan didn't know about this because they didn't have any TVs back in the day. And one of my other cousins is a guy called Brian Auger, one of the Auger family. And he is famous for writing a song called Wheels on Fire in the 60s with Judy Driscoll. I don't know if you know that song. It's a kind of a seminal song. It was picked up by Absolutely Fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And it was picked up by them. And he now is in LA. And I think he's a talented musician, but he's lived off the royalties of that. So I wrote to him and said, listen, cousin, like our uncle, our great uncle is George the Giant Auger. How about making a film? Or I'm going to write a book about it. And he didn't get back to me, but I think he's quite old now. But I just thought this would make a terrific film. But in any case, I've done a big chapter in the book, so I'm happy that I've got all these photographs out there. I've got this story out there, and it's one of those stories that where literally people say, you couldn't really make this up. And the fact that that's also a member of my family just reinforces this whole thing where I've got to find out all this information, and I've got to be the spokesperson for all my families that couldn't read or write, all my current cousins that really are not educated. Very few of them have any education. And then going back, none of them could really read or write. So I feel as though by telling these stories and all the gypsy stuff and the criminals and like prostitution in the 60s, like that life doesn't exist anymore. People can't live free anymore. Like my kids can't live like this. They can't do what they like without being, monitored and tracked and traced and everything. So this is like the 50 years, second half of the 20th century. I lived all through that. I lived all through the 60s, all the criminal stuff, all the gypsy stuff. Then I lived through the counterculture. Then I found myself in the 80s, like having drinks with Ivana Trump, Donald's first wife. I was found myself having a drink with Princess Margaret. I've got a connection to Ghislaine Maxwell, which I might write about because that's kind of into the public domain now. So I'm thinking, yes, that's a interesting story, and I really won't go into it now, but I will on another occasion. I'm going to write about it. Yes. So like I'm thinking when I come back from living in that cave, that was a lot. Then I married a girl who had two of my children whose father was spies in Moscow. My first father-in-law lived under Harold Wilson's house for 3 years. So this is like kept repeating itself all the time. Every time I would go somewhere, I'd get introduced or hang out with aristocrats for some reason. And I realized it's because like I don't have any problem with class, because people would often say, well, what class do you consider yourself? And say, well, I've got absolutely no class whatsoever, which is a bit of a joke, really. And on the basis that when you come from this Romany Gypsy heritage, you do consider yourself like God's chosen people. And there is an element of that in me. So I'm not really intimidated by anyone. And I've never really felt that I was less than anybody. And then when you find out prior to the Monmouth Rebellion, when we lost, prior to that, my ancestors had land and had castles and were like very eminent, going back to William Fitz-Osbern, who came over with the Duke of Normandy. And then, so there was a lineage going back to 1000, which is royal. So that it got split in 1600. So we went from like being of extreme aristocracy to being absolute peasants. And this is the beautiful thing about history. Like when you look through history, you think how things change. So then I come from a generation that couldn't read or write, but I was used to think, well, how come I have all these esoteric gifts? Like I can access esoteric knowledge. I can decode, John Dee and stuff. Then I realized I can channel through my DNA. So when I wrote my book about Lawrence, I could time travel. I could channel Lawrence. When I was a kid, I was living in Venice in past life. So even when I'm 4, I'm playing chess. Like nobody taught me to play chess. That comes through my DNA. So I've done a lot of interesting research onto that as well. And then subsequent to that, I married an Italian woman who had the same experiences about regressing to Italy in Machiavelli's time. So I'm interested in Machiavelli. So that's the reason I really revere my DNA. And I wanted to find out more about it because there's all the clues about how you think. So obviously I've got wild DNA and uncorrupted DNA, if you know what I mean. So even now, I had a child 3 years ago by a 32-year-old Romanian girl. And like people say, you do really strange things, you make really strange choices. But I think it's because I've examined all my DNA and I've got these really weird bloodlines. I'm compelled to do these things. So when I was thinking about Nephilim, like when I was living in Greek islands and Spain, I was like really feral. I mean, I'd just be like, I had no money, nothing. I always got put into positions where I'd be given money, I'd meet interesting people, I'd get beautiful girlfriends, and I could never work out how I managed to have all this luck. So that's another motive for me writing this book, is to say that I've led a charmed life, and it's been going on and on and on. And the only reason I could think that I've led a charmed life is because I was put into these positions where I could translate what was going on. I could gather information. I could pass on information to other people, and really link up my past, my childhood, with what is happening now as a bridge. So that's a kind of a long explanation of why I wrote this book. But I'm very pleased with it. And also, when I showed it to people, I was concerned that, like, it's my life story, it's my history. It's a bit of a niche thing. Would people be interested in my own personal history, my own ancestors? But it's so extreme with the Georgia Giant stuff and the criminals. And every time I showed it to someone, they said, this is amazing. And it's also very funny. So there's a lot of, like, quite dark humor in there. And I think that's probably one of the things that I'm most proud of, is that I do have a very good sense of humor, and I think that comes over in my writing. So,
well, when you tie a biography into history, so you're talking about going back to the 1600s or to the Victorian era, and then you tie in different geographies, like you're talking about living in Crete, or in London. This is social history essentially. It makes it interesting off the bat, regardless of who's writing it. For most people.
Absolutely. I mean, I wanted to write a social history documentary. Like, it wasn't just specifically about what my family got up to, although that's very amusing in its own right, and very extreme. But as you know, I'm an occult researcher, and I do other research. So, I was then starting to link it into other things. So when I talk about my childhood being tested and like being given prizes every year and sent to school, that ties in a bit to the post-war mass observation stuff that came later. When they're putting children into programs, which I know a lot about as well. And of course, I am connected to a lot of people that were put into these programs, including my recent interviews with one of the super soldiers, James Casbolt, who had an even more extreme experience than me. So I can tie into how they are programming people through MK Ultra, and I also got a lot of stuff which I might talk about and will write about, my knowledge of MK Ultra, because I know people that were programmers themselves, programming children with sleep deprivation and shock therapy. So, like, all these stuff I talk about, my school and the bullying and the psychological torture and the spiritual warfare that we undergo. Apart from being my own experience, it also relates on the wider scale, in the sense that I'm put through these experiences. So I'm not talking about it in the abstract, like people come and say, "Oh, I got abducted by a UFO or something." I'm talking about in the very physical sense of what's happened to me and my family, over the last few hundred years. So for me, that's why I wanted to write it, because it's actually like it's my flesh and blood. So I've got experiences of all these things. But the reason I then get put into situations where I meet the Huxleys, I will meet Jeremy Thorpe, I will meet Princess Margaret, I will, got a connection with Ghislaine, and a lot of other famous people as well, the Jaggers, like, far beyond any coincidence. This is an extreme form of synchronicity. And, like, it's almost like I'm put in these situations to like discover what's going on and relay it to people, that's not in a kind of highbrow way, if you know what I mean. Although I'm a published poet and I've written books and I've got a lot of good education, but at the same time, I like that thing about having the common touch and being able to explain to people what's actually going on with chemtrails and with Agenda 30 and with all the stuff that's going on geopolitically. I do talk about that, but on this instance, I'm talking about it from my own experiences of growing up into this world, and almost like how I got to be where I am now, and how we are where we are now. So even recently, I've been asked to go into a breeding program down in Cornwall.
Really?
Where I sell my sperm. So, as you know, I'm interested in everything. And if someone says to me, "Do you want to do this? Do you want to come to Africa?" I go, "Yeah, okay." Like, that's what I've done all my life, and I've always got away with it. So now, age 72,
Yes, man.
I've been
like
asked
Ben.
I was going to say it's Yes Man. It's that Danny book.
It is the Danny Wallace book, isn't it?
Danny Wallace book, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
And I'm getting paid. I'm getting paid to sell my sperm, but do it 25 times.
How much a litre?
I haven't worked it out yet. I've agreed to do it once, but And it's a Norwegian MI5 agent that's running this program, and it's all legitimate. And she said, you only do it 25 times because you get the problem of inbreeding. And I think, well, that won't be a problem in Cornwall because they're all inbred anyway. In any case, the family I come from, we all married our cousins. Like, I had a bit of a thing with one of my cousins back in the day. And so look, we've done okay, haven't we? We haven't got 6 fingers.
No, 3 legs and 2 cocks, like that other guy.
Yes, I know.
Hey, talking about... go on.
Yeah,
sorry.
go on. No, go on. No,
I don't want to interrupt your flow.
No, go on.
Can't remember what I was going to say now. But all I'm saying is...
programs.
Yeah, so literally, it started way before I was born. This crazy. Like I'm put in this situation. I'm put on this planet. I'm sent to places like Zena. Like I'm living in this fantastic house. I've had all these relationships. I've been in the world of MI6, although they never recruited me much as they wanted to. And it's going on. It's still going on. Like things are happening to me now that are just crazy. So like when I write my 3rd volume, like it's going to be difficult because there's people that are still alive that are involved. But even now, I mean, I'm now going into a breeding program. Most people will say, "Oh, I don't want anything to do with that." But unfortunately, I've got that thing where if it's an adventure and if it's something I can find out about, so I'm now researching breeding programs, which I know a little bit about, and it's been going on for a long time with the cloning as well. I'm also researching honey traps because I believe that I'm sent honey traps to recruit me. Now, this is something I'm researching at the moment, and I find it absolutely fascinating. So I seem to have recently had a lot of Eastern European girlfriends turning up, which I'm not complaining about. But, you know, I'm wondering if there's something going back in the DNA story, in the way that when they do the heel prick test, they know if anyone's got that kind of DNA that is sought after. And they do it as babies, they do a heel prick test.
That goes to what I was going to raise before. So you talked about like Nephilim bloodlines. I've heard some people mention that a commonality could be people who have rhesus negative blood. Is that something you've come across?
Yeah, I know that certain bloodlines are of interest to them. But I think it's very difficult to get this information out because I think the rhesus negative is a Celtic bloodline that also connects to Galicia. And a lot of it goes back to the tribe of Dan. So the whole thing about bloodline, just be a little bit careful because I think it's a lot of people like get on that bandwagon and they're trying to work out they've got this bloodline that goes back to Dan and stuff like this. And I think there's a bit of kind of elitism involved with it as well, in the sense that they're more spiritually. So again, it kind of could be a eugenic psyop as well, in the sense that if you come from this select bloodline, you are more worthy than other people that come from the O bloodline. Sure. So it's something I'm wary of. But I'm more interested in DNA in the sense that memories are stored in your DNA. And I was told a few years ago when I did my research here that DNA was degraded every 15 years or 15 generations, but I don't think that's the case. And I think the new research coming out now is that your DNA, they can extract DNA from like thousands of years ago. Like one of the things that I got really interested in down here is that this whole thing about giants, because there's a thing about giants in Cornwall, and there's the Kandahar giant in Afghanistan, which was a red-headed creature, probably about 16 foot tall. And there's also the theories about Gilgamesh, and the reason they went into Iraq was to get the tomb of Gilgamesh.
This is the US. You mean the US going into
US
Iraq?
Military, yeah, was to get the tomb of Gilgamesh.
Yeah,
and of course,
common knowledge that.
Yeah, I think it's become mainstream now, and I do know someone that was claimed that he was there doing that operation in the military. So it kind of figures to me because all the giants that are getting dug up all over the world, they get taken by the Smithsonian Institute, and of course, if they can get the DNA of Gilgamesh, they could create this ultimate super soldier, and they also now are doing it hybrids with cloning. So the Nazis obviously were very interested in finding these creatures and creating like a super soldier army or an alien army, because if they got Nephilim bloodline, they're not fully human. And like the whole thing about the Nephilim was that they had superior knowledge, but they wasted it all on like addictions and it got filtered down. Then it went corrupted. So you can go into the Anunnaki creating humans, to do the work. I mean, that's a very interesting subject. But I do think there's something. It's
wild you brought up Gilgamesh, because I've been using Twitter a lot recently for the first time in ages, and the footage of them opening the tomb of Gilgamesh resurfaced. It came out years and years ago, But it resurfaced this week on Twitter for the first time in years, and
Yeah.
it's like the cine camera of them, and the guy's there with like the golden crown on his head, this giant guy, and it just popped up in everyone's algorithm this week.
It will do, yeah. This is the soft disclosure that's happening now. There's an awful lot of things coming out now. And I think it's a very positive thing because even I heard something the other day that CERN had been closed down, and they were closing down the climate control stuff, you know, like, what's it called, climathon, and that the chemtrails are going to stop. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on geopolitically, and even there's people that believe, and I don't necessarily think they're wrong, that the reason they went into Iran was to get the Stargates, you know, the Stargates in Iran. But this is all very fascinating.
Whoa. I've not heard of this. What's the Stargates in Iran, Bob?
There's Stargates in Iran, as there are all over the Middle East, where you can like transcend time and space. So it connects in a bit with Egypt, in the sense that these places, you know, you can connect. You can go through the time-space barrier. Can you just hang on a second, Phil? I'm going to get a glass of water.
It's all right. I love Stargate. It's one of my favourite movies of the 90s.
Well, I didn't want to assume that it literally was Stargate.
Well, I think that's probably shorthand.
Right, okay.
No, it won't be like you've got to lock in the 7 chevrons and, you know, Kurt Russell's there with a P90 submachine gun and his Zippo lighter. Do you remember where he gives the kid his Zippo lighter?
Vaguely.
He's like, oh, like fire in your hand.
Exactly,
kind of thing.
Mm.
And, but I like the mythos. I like the whole, you know, it mixes up technology, ancient Egypt, the ancient gods, you know.
That's right.
It's been crushed, unfortunately. It was meant to be rebooted, but Amazon have killed it. Anyway.
Yeah, it's all these things are completely fascinating. And of course, you can end up going down these rabbit holes, but you don't really feel as though you've got any definitive proof. But the thing about when I did the research on George Auger is that this was an actual. There's photographs all over the internet. You know, it's like it's well documented. I've got all the newspaper cuttings and everything from his death, from his appearances on the stage. But when that's a member of your family, somehow it brings it home to you because you know, I actually feel the Nephilim connection. You know, as I said, I was living very feral. In my youth, I was always consumed by lust and things like that. You know, we're very fertile. So somehow, when you join up that, and you've got like you feel it in your DNA almost. You know, and why was I obsessed with Frankenstein? Why was I obsessed with Charlie Chaplin? You know, like the silent movies when I was like barely you know, talking. And then I realized that had informed my art as well as an artist, because I was a visual artist. So what I really like is this connection between my own personal experience, which then gets transmuted into my art or my writing. And it becomes like you become an alchemist because you're using base metal. So we would go collecting, you know, rag and bone, as you know, like most things considered worthless. And I would, as a child, would go out on the horse and cart. And when we get a pile of books from a house clearance, my dad would say, "Oh, get rid of all the books. They're not worth anything." And because they couldn't read, but because I read, I had my own stall under their stall. And like I've written about this, and it's quite amusing. And they were trying to sell their like yellowing bras and piss-stained underpants and things like this. And underneath, I had the collected works of Lord Byron and a load of books that people were throwing out. And these, at the time in the 60s in Portobello Road, you get like posh people coming buying. So I actually made more money selling my books than they did all the other stuff. And then I realized that, you know, if you can access this esoteric knowledge, and then I became obsessed with the Romantic poets. So really, I really, when I picked up this volume of Lord Byron's books, it felt special to me because I'm probably the first person to ever like be able to decode that, which is what I later did with Shakespeare. Because ironically, when I was 10, I was given the complete works of Shakespeare by the mayor for being the top boy in London. Of course, it became obvious to me much later that Shakespeare didn't exist, and I've done a whole podcast on that, and the whole thing's a psyop. So at an early age, I could spot deception. But by giving me this book, I then developed an interest in the Romantic poets. And it all ties into the giant stuff, because what happened in 1776, May the 1st, was the foundation of the Illuminati by Adam Weishaupt in Ingolstadt. And Frankenstein was written around that time when they found this count living in the Black Forest who was digging up bodies. So the whole thing about Frankenstein, that Frankenstein was really the first cyborg constructed man, and that became a symbol for the Illuminati. So by studying all the culture of the time, there's people that go on about the Illuminati, but they haven't really gone into that cultural aspect, which is what I was very interested in, coming up from linking it into the Romantic poets, Fabianism, all the agendas that were being run by the British deep state at the time, 250 years ago. And like even little things like me finding that copy of Byron's poetry became very significant, and bits of synchronicity. And even like 20 years ago, when I was having an affair with an artist, we used to meet at the Chelsea Arts Club, and because she was quite famous and I was not really famous but well known, I used to sign in under a fake name of George Byron. So all these incredible synchronicities, and I've been abroad under different names in different guises throughout periods when I just disappear, and I'm even wondering, well, like, why did I go to that place unless there was something that was triggered for me to go there? And like, I had one of your guy, Mark Devlin, who came out with this interview with because I had a chat with somebody the other day when I was talking about how I lived on Idra in 1971, and I met Marianne Elan, who was Leonard Cohen's lover at the time.
Another spy?
Yes, Norwegian.
Cohen.
Well, Cohen was Mossad agent,
Yeah.
and like I know all about Cohen. I think you might have had contact with someone who interviewed Anne Diamond, not Anne Diamond of TV Morning, the other Anne Diamond, this Canadian who was groomed by Leonard Cohen, age 4. And because I've researched MK Ultra, William Sargent, Duncan Cameron, shock therapies all through the 50s, because one of the poets that I befriended, Robert Graves, a famous poet, he ghostwrote a book called Battle for the Mind. So they used his knowledge of psilocybins and everything, which he got this knowledge by time traveling back in the past, and what's called an analeptic process, which I developed. So Cohen was fascinating, and I researched Cohen a few years ago, and it was when I was at the Isle of Wight Pop Festival when I took my first tab of LSD. Cohen was on the stage, and I always thought he was a mesmerist, but he was a mesmerist, but he was also a Mossad agent. So he went to live in Idra, and he was invited there by the Rothschilds. So I'm going to do a podcast on this whole connection between Jacob Rothschild, Leonard Cohen, Marianne Elan, Axel Elan, who was a Norwegian agent. So he was Mossad. And also around that time or a bit later, my first wife, who, as I said, parents were in Moscow, she was working for Victor Rothschild, who was head of MI6. So like I've grown up in this world of espionage without being involved with it directly myself, as far as I know. But when I went to Florida in 1989, when my then wife was pregnant with my second daughter, her mother tried to assassinate me by, kill me. So I'm aware that I've been in and out of this world, and I probably know quite a lot of things that I wouldn't really go public on. But I'm always wondering why there's a reason that I would go in a bar on Idra and meet the agent Marianne Elan, and I would then meet a lot of other people as well. The chances of it happening once are pretty slim, but happening constantly. And I do believe that's because I can then gather the information. So in a way, I always wanted to go into espionage as a kid. And I suppose I have, but just not officially. So
it's quite strange that someone who's so sort of anti-establishment would constantly find themselves surrounded by luminaries of the state throughout their lives, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I could never really work it out, other than the fact that I was either put in position to meet them or we felt an affinity. And I think it's because I've always considered myself to be an aristocrat, like trapped in a peasant's body, really. That I have this kind of very easy way of connecting with people, but at the same time, I feel the same with. It's just the people in the middle I don't like. I love peasants, I love the aristocracy.
It's like the people at the top have fuck you money,
exactly.
And the people at the bottom have no money, so they've no fucks to give. It's the people in the middle who are so fucking toxic. They're jealous of the people ahead of them, and they look down on the people below them. It's that old Two Ronnies sketch with John Cleese where they're lined up.
It's absolutely right, and I've always gotten well with the toffs. And basically, they don't really care about what knife and fork you use and whether you swear, and they dress like tramps. Most of them, they've either got money or they've squandered all their money. So also they're prone to pretty much the same vices as the gypsies are. Not saying Romanies because Romany is quite a pure, but you know, I'm not pure Romany anyway. I'm like a pikey or diddy-quote, whatever you want to call it. So those vices are pretty much drinking, gambling, and womanizing. So like I've been prone to all those vices, which I write quite freely about in these books, as was my ancestors, as well as are all the aristocrats that I've hung out with. So like you've got this in common as well. And the fact that you've got away with it, or I've got away with it, is another reason why. You know, like I've been ended. I find myself in like polo matches in stately homes at Longleat. You know, hanging out with Joanna Lumley and the Gurkhas and Lord Tyne. I'm thinking, how have I got to be in this position? It's either because my girlfriend's either very rich and aristocratic. I've had a few girlfriends that are in that world, or that I just get randomly invited, or I bump into someone. They say, "Come along." So I've done it so many times, and I'm so kind of comfortable with it all that I just think I'm getting gifted information. You know, I'm put in situations like I'm now in this breeding program. Like, I can't really explain what it's all about, but I'm going to do it in order to just get the information. And I know it's ethically uncertain, but like as far as I'm concerned, if I can find out what it's all about, and you know, I don't even want the money. I just want to know how it works. But it's all legit now. You know, they freeze dry it, and you have a milking room. And I was going to go soon.
You're milked.
You're milked, yeah. Because I did an interview with this woman called Stina, she admitted her father was MI5, Norwegian again. And I said, yeah. She said, will you come along? It's called Hunky Spunk. And I said, yeah, I'll come along. So we had an initial meeting, and I really was probing to find out how it works. And a lot of women who yeah, a lot of women nowadays can't get pregnant for obvious reasons. You know, sperm counts are low and general hormone problems. They are seeking out artificial ways to get pregnant now, rather than, you know, IVF and things like that. And so it's a big thing, and it's very popular in Scandinavia. And apparently, Scandinavians are sought after. Like, they want tall, blonde types, but you can tick these boxes. So that the women that can have a wish list, and they might decide they want an African man or they want a Scandinavian man. So I don't know why I come into it, because I'm not like tall or anything, but I just happen to be very fertile. And when she found out that I had a child a couple of years ago, she said, "Oh, you'd be ideal." So all they want is your sperm, really. They're not really that bothered whether I'm from the rebel not taken genes or whether I've got Nephilim bloodline. So if there's a load of giant Nephilim children with fat fingers going around in a few years, you know, that's the way it is. But they all do it. Of course, Boris Johnson was involved with these programs in Australia.
Whoa, rewind. Go on. What's the Boris Johnson connection with Australia?
Well, yeah, there's an Australian program running. A lot of this was developed by the eugenics societies, and of course, Boris Johnson's dad,
massive eugenicist,
also born in Penzance, just coincidentally. Yeah, massive eugenicist. And there was a program in Australia where I've seen a photograph of Boris with all his brothers and sisters, all got this flaxen blonde hair. And they were involved with this program that was also involving, I think, Nicole Kidman and Peter Kidman, her father. And there was this cult, which I started researching. And for some reason, I started researching something else. But I've still got some of the information. And they were like programming this blonde race. So it ties in a bit to the eugenics, you know, the Nazi. Eugenics is a very much a Nazi agenda. But when I'm saying Nazi, it doesn't mean it's German, because it's a deep state British agenda that goes back to Thomas Malthus.
Yep.
So you need to understand about Malthus, about Jeremy Bentham, about the Huxleys, about Darwin, in the sense that, you know, I've done work on the Darwins, and like this is all the Fabians, the early Fabians. I mean, so
George Bernard Shaw be another one.
Yeah, you know, masquerading as socialist, but you know, the Fabians are to blame for a lot of things, and I'm not going to go down the route of saying that the Moustache Man was programmed at Tavistock, but I looked at the Moustache Man's landscape paintings, and there's a portrait of himself on Tavistock Bridge in 1918. He had a brother in Liverpool. So like, it's very confusing, because the eugenics program was like put on the Nazis, but it was really the Victorians like Darwin who believed. But by the time that he wrote Origin of Species, and Karl Marx also wrote Das Kapital, and they swapped books. They were both run by the Fabians, by Thomas Huxley and other people. By then, they believed that all the best families had already been born in this country, and they didn't want. It was them that started this whole crusade against the Eustateters and like determining who should breed and who shouldn't. This goes quite deep, the whole eugenics program, and like
Yeah.
Boris Johnson's, I know, has fathered probably more children than is credited for. So like you wouldn't think, because I don't think he's particularly attractive, but women do seem to find him attractive. But he's also got this fertile gene.
His
And I
dad,
don't
there's
know
a
whether.
famous interview of his dad talking about what the pet population of the UK should be, and I think he calls it 18 million, 20 million top, something like that.
Well, I mean, there's the legal figures which have been suppressed now. That you could get that on the internet recently. I think the optimum was 15 million. And I've actually been at dinner with Fabians back in the day, Huxleys and people like that, who are convinced that 15 million is about the limit. And basically, you just want to cull them. And of course, now people aren't really used as slaves anymore because they got robots and they got AI. So I can kind of see how they think. You know, having had a Fabian like education, I can see where they're coming from. I also see where the Illuminati are coming from, because I can like get into their head. But it's transhuman, and you know, that's where we are. And people don't really understand that they're in a depopulation agenda at the moment.
I mean, they just need to look at the birth rates across the Western world and developed Asia to see what the depopulation agenda is reaping. It's falling off a cliff.
That's right. And of course, that has all been, that's not a new thing. That just suddenly happened. Didn't happen in 2020. It's been going on for like 100 and probably much longer than that. Because I do believe a lot of these eugenics theories came out of Venice, which then previously came out of, Sumeria and places like that. So you get the elites or the ruling classes that run a feudal society, and it just keeps getting churned over and over again. And basically, the peasants are what they consider the peasants. You know, like my great grandfather who fought in the rebellion. They just want to get rid of them. You know, if they're no longer subservient to the state, they're a liability. And that's when I kind of realised that if you do cause trouble and you start talking about stuff, you do get targeted quite a bit, and you get things happen to you, and you get warnings. You know, so I've been skirting that for a long time.
Have you had any warnings from the
Yeah,
state?
yeah. I've had some messages from. I've got a kind of, I'm not going to say a handler, but I've done little things for them, in the sense that I can debrief people, or I can interrogate or interview people. I can spot deception, so they know that gypsies can spot deception. So it's very difficult to deceive a Romany gypsy, because they can tell straight away. And that's probably a talent that I had, so I can spot deception straight away.
Wow.
Just by sitting down and talking to somebody and telling if they're lying or not. And that's quite a skill to have, and it's kind of sought after skill as well. So, you know, I was fast tracked to go to Oxford, and I've had a lot of girlfriends who, like, parents were in MI6. The Freemasons tried to recruit me when I had a successful business, and I was supplying the House of Lords, House of Commons. I had clearance to go in those places. You know, and then when I told them I wasn't going to be recruited, they destroyed all my businesses overnight. My wife was then out of it, I think. But then I jacked it all and came to live in Cornwall. So that's been a repeat pattern. It's like I try to keep away from them at all. You know, I left school, went to the Isle of Wight Pop Festival, got involved with the counterculture, was with a girl who was parents were spies. They were tracking me, phone numbers, etc. You know, phone tapped, and went to Crete, and then I've been doing it ever since. Now I'm now in Cornwall, and I've been doing a lot of stuff down here, which is probably like asking a lot of questions, exposing covens, you know, doing a bit with MI6. And I'm on the verge thinking, well, where can I go next?
Any suggestions, Matt?
Romania.
Romania?
Yeah.
Well,
That's
funny
what
you
came
say
into
that.
my mind. Yeah.
Funny you say. Hang on a minute.
Oh, he's going for a piss out that door again.
I am actually.
At least we can't see this time.
No, the camera follows him now. He's got some funky new iPad that follows him round room.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen this on an iPad before.
No,
that's why Bob's like half of Bob's head's been chopped off.
Yeah, is it?
We set it off before we started, and then it's just started moving about. The camera on it, it's weird. Yeah. I'm quite impressed with it though.
Well, I would like to know if Bob got this iPad from one of his girlfriends.
Right? Why do you ask that?
because his
But,
girlfriend's
yeah,
parents are in MI6.
Oh right, yeah, a
I
listening
did.
device.
Oh, don't get me on that. All my phones and things are, clocked, but they don't even need to do that now because they do voice to skull. They don't even need your phone anymore. They can implant it into you.
Just wirelessly into your brain, man.
Right. Okay.
But no, I wouldn't go to Romania.
Right. Unlocked.
But it's just funny because well, not my last girlfriend, but the girl that had my baby, it's called Zena, by the way.
Wow.
She's Romanian, and I always was suspicious about why a beautiful 32-year-old girl would like hook up with me. Although I've had, beautiful girlfriends before, but I always wondered why they were with me, because I'm not really like your typical boyfriend material. And then when she had the baby, I said, look, she said, well, I did think there was a DNA element here. And jokingly, she told me when she first came that she was in the Illuminati and had been inducted into Rome. So, this has always been a leitmotif throughout my life. And which is why the third volume is going to be called Witches and Spies, because I'm interested in this connection between witchcraft and espionage.
Right.
So basically, all intelligence work involves a lot of black magic. So MI5, MI6, they all work black magic. They employ a hell of a lot of psychics and spies, far more than people realize. And it was relayed to me quite recently with an interview I did with an Estonian girl, who is very interesting. She's told me that MI5 just recruited 40,000 agents, bilingual agents, to get information and spy on people. Now, when you think about MI5, people say, oh, yeah, it's all part of your fantasy that MI5 are spying on you. Well, it's not, because it's all documented. And I wouldn't make that up. People think it's just like only politicians like Starmer with his Ukrainian rent boys and things like that, but it's been going on a long time. And even anyone who's like in the public domain or is doing interesting research, I have now come to the conclusion, which I'm investigating, that I'm being sent honey traps, which is great. And I said to this, she said, oh, she said, you're lucky to be alive given what you talk about. I said, I know. I said, but, she said she could tell me about honey traps and how they're trained in Russia, because the Russians are the best at this. And I got really interested in this. This is an area I want to actually research now. And what they can do, they would often use it for like politicians or the Epstein stuff as well. This is big and it's widespread, but they're even now using it to everybody, but they can do it on a mass scale. And what the Russians can do is at the point of climax, when you're having sex, they can download your consciousness. So they can download information from you. Has Phil gone for a piss?
Yeah, but he's not doing it on the drive or anything.
So they can download information from you. And this fascinates me.
How do they download your consciousness at the point of climax?
Well, there's methods. Because it's to do with the point of orgasm and that release. And a lot of this relates back to Crowley's sex magic rituals. So as you know, Aleister Crowley was doing a lot of sex magic using the tetragrammaton formulas. And I think this has been going on for a long time. And when you think about Cleopatra, and it's not the oldest profession for nothing. And the Russians seem to have perfected this. So I've got this contact who can explain to me how the Russians can download consciousness from men that they're having sex with. And again, it's of a personal nature to me, because I feel as though I'm one of those people who can put my body on the line and experience things that other people maybe like thinking, no, I'm not going to do that, I'm not getting involved with that. And then how I physically have that experience is how that I can justify my research. So even one of my uncles was involved with Christine Keeler and Mandy Rice Davis, the two 60s prostitutes who I believe were probably MI5 agents, who slept with John Profumo, the Conservative MP, and also the Russian intelligence officer. So I think even then they had the ability to download consciousness from while they're having sex, and also believe that Russian naval intelligence officer had the ability to download from them because they're highly trained in these arts. I don't know how it works or how they do it, but I do know someone that knows about it. And I think it's one of those things that it's one of my areas of research at the moment that I'm going to go into. And it's kind of new information really. But how I work is that I put myself in the physical situation. like I put myself in that place. So I'll be in the vegetable patch that Jones Lawrence worked. I'll be in Alistair Crowley's cottage. I'll time travel back to Venice. I'll do all these things. And I don't know how I do it, but I believe that's my gift through my DNA. So that's my inheritance, and I can get information really quickly. And the fact that now I've been presented with these kind of opportunities, it's too good to bypass, really.
I'm interested. So do you call did you call it time traveling before, or remote viewing, or both? Is it the same thing?
No, I really don't like. I'm not sure that I like the term remote viewing because, again, the Russians perfected remote viewing, and of course Mossad were doing it. So Uri Geller was a remote viewer, and I've got friends who are remote viewers as well. I'm not sure that what I do is remote viewing, but I have what's called second sight. Okay. So I can assess a decoder situation very quickly, spot danger, work out people's motives, and then join up things like, for example, the Cohen thing. Then the Cohen thing, I can join that up with my own experiences, and my own experiences of talking to the Huxleys and mind control. So like just silly little bits of synchronicity. At that very time when I was researching Leonard Cohen, I was in a village in, I won't say where it is, but anyway, it's in Somerset. And I was having dinner with a friend of mine who was the widow of my best friend who translated Nostradamus from medieval French. I mean, like, I've got some weird friends. And she said, "What are you doing at the moment?" I said, I'm researching the Manchurian candidate because I'm about to interview a guy who was doing alien retrievals, and he's a trained assassin by the American military. And I believe he's a Manchurian candidate. She said, "Well, why don't you go speak to Debbie in the village?" I said, "Well, why would I go and speak to Debbie in the village?" She said, "Because she's the daughter of Richard Condon, who wrote the book, The Manchurian Candidate."
Wow.
Synchronicity.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, tell me you're joking. And she said, no, she lives a couple of miles away. Phone her up and go and interview her. This is the kind of thing that happens. Like, what are the chances of that? I went to interview her. She's 84 now. She told me a load of information about her father, about the Kennedy assassination. We had a bottle of wine. I got more out of her than she probably wanted to say. But then she said, you can't publish any of this. So I didn't, I didn't want to betray that, but she told me a lot. And the fact that she was the daughter, they were on the run. It was all Manchurian Candidate came out of the Korean War when they can they can brainwash soldiers into anything, and that ties in with the psilocybins and the flooding of American university with LSD in the 60s. And of course, I'm part of that counterculture, and I'm befriended the poet who did all the research that was stolen by the CIA by William Sargent, which was sold via Aldous Huxley to Duncan Campbell, who then created Montauk. So Montauk again is like, it's not created in California in the 1960s. This came out of the British Fabian movement in the 1950s, post-war. It was we were doing that, and we were testing children like me and other children, but in a very rudimentary way. But the subsequent kids that got put into the Project Ibis and things like that, that was far more sinister because they can now do it on a mass level. So they can now program people like I was a kid going to Saturday morning pictures. Robert Maxwell, who owned Pergamon Press, was involved with a lot of all the educational books were done by Pergamon Press.
Yeah.
So you go to the pictures and there'd be like weirdos sitting in the audience with notepads, and they'd have what's called the flicker rate. So you've been watching a horror film or cowboy film or whatever. They'd be observing children to see how they reacted. This is the Mass Observation Society, and they were doing a lot in your part of the world, up in the north of England, Lancashire, post-war. They would study working class behaviour, and it wasn't to improve their lives per se. It was to see how humans, i.e. animals, react under certain situations like stress. So that's all become very more sophisticated now, and they can do it through the TV, from the BBC, British Brainwashing Company. The flicker rate on TVs, they can do a flicker rate that lowers your frequency.
Did you ever read Chaos? Is that
about Charlie Manson?
Yeah, it's the Tom O'Neill book about the connection between MK Ultra, the Haight-Ashbury clinic that was set up, Jolyon West, all the medical...
Jolyon West. Yeah, I researched Jolyon West. He was at Aston University, and he was very much part of that link between us and Canada. So yeah, Jolyon West was doing stuff. And,
using psychedelics to try and reprogram people's minds and make mind control, basically.
That's right. I took psychedelics in 1970. Well, I haven't done it since. I felt as though it was a big reprogramming situation.
Wow.
Like I was encouraged to take a lot of drugs, and I've resisted mostly. But again, like young kids are at these festivals, and yeah, High Ashbury, along with Laurel Canyon, they're all
Yeah.
big reprogramming centres, and they reprogram people through music, through lyrics. Like Leonard Cohen was programming people because Leonard Cohen was programmed by Quebec University, McGill, by Campbell. And then he became a programmer. So he programmed probably Anne Diamond and other people. And he was also programming people through his lyrics, which are fabulous, by the way. I mean, I'm a big Leonard Cohen fan, but you listen to those songs, and like all through my time, it's all these snatches of songs that keep appearing, like So Long Marianne, Suzanne, two of my favorites. Then I noticed that at the time I was in Egypt, I had a Irish girlfriend here called Marianne. And then subsequently, I had a girlfriend called Suzanne. And when I went to Crete, I'd come back from Marrakesh. Like I was listening to The Road to Marrakesh when we came out of the desert, came back. Then I went in London for a year or two, worked under a fake name, then went to Crete. And when I went to Crete, I've been playing Joni Mitchell's song Carey. I don't know if you know that one.
I was listening
Carey
to
Garrett
that today, actually.
Yeah, of course you were. It's about Matala, and that's the village I went to. And I was told I could go and sleep in this cave, and they said Joni Mitchell was there before. And the guys who wrote about it, Carey, I was told to people that knew them, didn't know Joni, but I've got photographs in the book of her in this cave. And again, it's those lines. The wind is in from Africa. Two particular lines. Last night I couldn't sleep, and those two lines were constantly in my head. And then I was in Matala with my Joni Mitchell connection. Then I was in Idra with my Leonard Cohen connection. And I do believe that I've been programmed in the counterculture movement. Like I'm now hanging out. There's like the Rolling Stones have got connections with, but can't talk about. Like Mick's brother comes and stays here a lot, you know. And so I know all about like Kenneth Anger, Lucifer Rising, Marianne Faithfull's father, Robert Faithfull, MI5 agent. He debriefed Himmler. You know, and like when you kind of know these people or you come into contact with them, somehow I can access their thoughts and I can find out information about them a lot quicker than if I was just going in cold. And I do believe this is some kind of physical connection that I can establish. And if I can then befriend them or even have relationships with them, like I've had relationships with women that then their art becomes my art and my art becomes their art. So I was talking to Matt earlier about how the Russians can transfer your consciousness when you're having sex with a honey trap agent, you know, a highly trained KGB spy. And I think this has been going on for a long time as well. And I don't quite know how it works, but I do have an Estonian woman that is going to explain it to me. So these are areas that I'm really interested in because I don't have the knowledge that I would like to have, but I think they're quite the kind of thing that fascinates me. And also, of course, it's quite a good thing to research, you know, without being funny.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, you mentioned Mark Devlin before, so if anyone's interested in the connection between the music industry and the intelligence operations, Mark Devlin's written a series of books, and he's usually somewhere in the country giving a talk about it on a given week.
Mark's done loads of great stuff, but a lot of the Laurel Canyon come from that guy. I can't remember his name now, but he suddenly had a heart attack when he wrote his book. And Laurel Canyon is I can't remember what it's called now. And I know Mark's got a lot of stuff from
a funny thing happened in the canyon, is it?
Something like that. Yeah, absolutely brilliant research. And like when you look at like Stephen Stills, like these people are all like heroes of mine. Crosby, all their fathers were in military intelligence. Frank Zappa,
fucking Beach Boys.
All of them. Beach Boys.
One of Beach Boys was hanging around with Manson at this time.
Yeah. Well, Manson used to hang out. Manson was always at Laurel Canyon. He was like a celebrity for them. Like this is why when you go down these rabbit holes, they were all into the occult. And like Manson was CIA. He was programmed as well because people like Allen Ginsberg were programming people as well. So he was hanging out. So all that whole Beat generation, like Kerouac and Ginsberg, they were all either at Columbia University or McGill universities. These are the two hotspots. There's always McGill, and there's always links to like Oxford and Cambridge because you know these elite bloodlines, like Stills was descended from one of the American presidents. I've got a friend who's descended from John Adams, you know, like, and I'm descended from like William Fitz-Osborne and probably Henry III. But it's just weird, and that's why I do think there's something really significant about your bloodline. And if you can find out more about about your bloodline, it kind of does answer questions. You're like, so that's partly why I wrote this book as well. Why am I interested in freaks? Why am I got this rebellious gene? Nobody can tell me what to do. Like, I'll get kicked out of schools. I'm on the naughty step all the time. I won't listen to anybody. And like, when you find out that that's because both of your bloodlines have these characteristics, you don't go, then you're not really prone to get some kind of insecurity or mental illness. Like, what's wrong with me? Why is my childhood so fucked up? Like, why things happen to me? And then you realize they've happened to you for a reason. And if you survive them, then you get stronger and you get more knowledge.
Interesting.
And then the more synchronicities you have, the more synchronicities I have, like if you study Jung, the more it happens. Like now, numbers. I've got a friend who's a numerologist. I'm going to go and see her in the Black Forest next week because she knows all about numerology. So we've become friends. I'm going to go and chat to her, and she can get information from me, and I can get information from her. And like since I've had this discussion with her, I'm seeing all the numbers. So I gave her a book in order to do the interview, and I said, "What have you got a favourite number?" She said, "Well, you choose a number," because they're all numbered 1 to 500. And so I gave her 17, and she said, "How did you know 17?" Actually, having said that, I've got some ex-girlfriends who I gave books to, and I gave them 69, and it was a bit childish. She said, "Oh, that's great." Unbeknown to them, there's about 5 69s out there, so as long as they don't get together, I'll be on the naughty step again.
Maybe.
Well,
sorry, I just wanted to ask just about the time traveling and stuff. As I don't know if you can explain it as an experience, what it feels like. Because you said, like, did you say something on the lines towards the beginning about between the ages of 4 and 10 or 4 and 11 that you spent a lot of time traveling or in other people's shoes or whatever. How does that feel, or how did that feel as a child, doing that and experiencing it, I guess?
Well, obviously, as a child, you don't know what's going on, so it's confusing. But yeah, I would when I go to sleep, I would go to Venice, and I would go to like Venice of 300 years ago, and like I would have great visual scenes of like the classic Venice scenes, the canals and everything. And I couldn't understand because I didn't know that I had any connection to Venice, and unless I'd seen something on a biscuit tin or something, but I didn't explain it. And this was perpetual every night virtually. And when I went back, it felt as though I was just being transported at night, but that's always happened to me. I go places at night time, and less so now, but certainly when I was a child, I did. And then when I went to Venice, it felt very familiar. So I'd be walking around Venice and I was sleeping in the boats, and I felt like I was back in another time, and I was just a ghost, and like people weren't noticing me. I was just walking around. And then when I married my second wife, who was Italian, she immediately said, as soon as we got together, we had a lot of mystical experiences. And she said, "Yeah, we were a brother and sister in Venice in a past life." And like she had the same experiences of dreaming about Venice, although she was from Florence. And then when we did past life regression, which I wasn't too keen to do, she said it's been confirmed that we were in Venice. So I've also had that in Greece, which is why I'm partly obsessed with the Mediterranean. So when I used to go to Greece and I'd be in some little village or get off the ferry and I'd go into this square and I'd walk into the square and it'd be like all the buildings were ochre and it was all dusty. And like I'd see men sitting around the tables like old style priests with their worry beads and maybe their ouzo. And I just used to sit in the corner and like I felt as though I was on a film set, or I'd gone back in the time. And when I told this to someone the other day, did they recognize you? Did you interact? They said, "No, I just stood there like I was watching, I'd gone back and watched this old movie." So I always felt like completely spiritually at home in Greece. And I mean, I've got Eleftheria tattooed on my arm, which means freedom. So when I used to go to Greek islands, you can't see that, but I was obsessed with living in Greek islands because it was like I was going home. And I've never really felt at home in England, funny enough. I always feel as though like I live in Cornwall, but I don't consider that England. I feel as though like I have to go up to England. So it's like a foreign country. And also the way people think, I can't really compute with some of the logic of the English. Like it doesn't seem right to me. And I think they've all been brainwashed. They're all NPCs. And I think this is the most brainwashed country on earth. Because at the moment, they've no idea what's going on in the rest of the world.
And it's only going to get worse with social media. Well, the way they're trying to control YouTube, which is coming soon, this Labour government.
Really?
Yeah, they're putting forward measures to promote the BBC, ITV, and Channel 4. They're going to legally force YouTube to promote what they call trusted sources.
Yes.
At the expense of independent creators like yours truly and you, Bob.
Yeah, which is why we need to make hay while the sun shines, really, because if it goes on, this censorship, but I don't think it's going to go on. I don't think they're going to get away with it. There's too much disclosure coming out now.
We'll see.
And this country will be the last to find out anyway. Anyway, I've got some friends in my cottage. They made a paella, and they just signalled to me paella. They showed this great big dish of paella with prawns and everything.
We don't want to keep you away from that, Bob.
You've done an hour and a half, Bob. Thank you very much.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
I know it's always a bit of a ramble with me, but
no, it's good.
I hope you people enjoyed it.
Yes,
and don't forget my book, Be Lucky. It can be got from my website, Never Not Taken. It's only 15 quid. It's good quality, and I do think there's amazing information in there. So
yeah,
I'll send you guys one. I'll send you guys a free one anyway.
Oh, cheers, Bob.
69.
Yeah, and
88. I'm thinking, who can I give 88 to? Maybe I can give 88 to the woman that's going to fit this ring.
It's been fantastic. The link's in the show notes, folks. If you want to check out Bob's website and his book, it'll be there. And thank you so much for your time. It's been fantastic as ever, Bob.
Anytime. Always love talking to you guys.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, nice to
Hopefully
speak to you.
We'll get down to Cornwall and see you sometime.
Come down. Come down. Yeah.
All right.
Make you some hot pot.
All right.
Enjoy your paella, mate. See you in a bit.
Be lucky.
Yeah.
Be lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
Cheers. Wonderful. Okay. So Bob's going off now, and we shall have a quick recess. I'll keep this stream running.
Yeah.
And then we'll maybe just do a little bit of housekeeping and
Just a bit of housekeeping.
feck off into the night.
Exactly, yeah.
All right. There's the freak show there.
Yeah, look,
I better cut this camera quick before we see something we're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Right, folks.
What's paella rhyming slang for?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to know.
No, we don't want to know, do we?
No.
Cut the stream.
Yeah. See you soon. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye, bye, bye. Oh. It kept freezing. We had to abandon. Was it Rumble, Facebook? Had to abandon.
All of the good platforms, yeah.
Urcash shat the bed tonight.
Yeah.
So, and Twitter, not Twitter, Twitch died as well.
No.
Which never happens. That's Restream, partially shit in the bed, and Aircast.
Yeah.
Although Twitch, no. Oh my God! So I didn't read that. So the Twitch, it's because I've put Gypsies in the title, man.
Oh, Travelers.
Honestly. So the title of tonight's episode is, it's got 4-leaf clover, Be Lucky, Giants, Gypsies and Gossip with Bob Osborne. And Twitch has nixed the stream because, quote, title includes banned words.
That's
which
mad, isn't it?
has to be Gypsies, doesn't it?
Oh.
What?
Yeah, that was weird. You were moving and I was frozen. Maybe I was just frozen listening to you. That's all.
You're just stunned into.
That was weird. Yeah, no. Well, I mean, it's a bit weird that that's how Bob refers to himself because that's his lineage.
I thought Gypsies was the right term to use. Romany Gypsies.
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you?
I didn't think that was a slur.
No.
It's not Gyppos, is it?
No. And Bob even referred to himself as a pikey in the cast. So
just fucking get over yourselves, man. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Ugh.
There we go. Bob.
Yeah, that was a chat with Bob.
Oh, we got to say we're back first, though.
Do we?
I don't know. Are we not doing it?
We can do it.
And we're back.
The dwarf, the cripple, and the
mother of mindfulness.
Limp Dick City.
Yeah, no Ben tonight. Just a couple of limp dicks.
What's up with him tonight?
I don't know. He didn't give a reason, did he?
I didn't. I thought he was coming. I had the stream set up for 3.
I know, yeah. No, I'm pretty sure. Well, I have a memory of him saying he wasn't here this week. He might just be outside the gate now, knocking gently. Yeah. The fortified drive.
No, Ben is usually here by 10 to 8.
Yeah.
A good 8 minutes before you.
Yeah. I was here at 5 to 8 tonight.
Wow. That's rank, that. Not liking this. I signed up, I mentioned last week, didn't I? I signed up for Beer 52 because I got a free box. A hazelnut stout. Mikeller. Yeah, not impressed. But I have been ruined by Aldi's coffee stout, you see.
They didn't have, sold out. They just had the chocolate stout today.
Right, I think I've tried that. Obviously, it's not
as good.
Not as good, no.
No. It's essentially the coffee stout without the coffee, I think. Whatever they they throw a little bit of grounds
beans
into the barrel, yeah.
They give it the beans.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's just sort of an average stout, the chocolate stout from Aldi.
It's fine, isn't it? It's specially selected.
My horse.
Our stout.
Specially selected my horse.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, so that was Bob. Nice to see Bob again.
Yeah.
It would be nice, wouldn't it, to go down to the wilderness of Zena and
I'd love to go
somewhere nice and desolate, quiet.
Something really
peaceful.
Struck me, when Bob was talking about.
Were you going to say Silith?
Yeah.
Bob
was talking about where he lived in Greece and he was drawn to the Greek islands and he felt home there somehow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Metaphysically or spiritually felt like that's where he belonged. And I have the same feeling when I go to like the North Lake district.
Oh.
I go to Workington, Silloth, that sort of area.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like this is where I should be. There's something about that place that resonates with me. It's very strange. Have you ever had that feeling?
Well, you got me thinking there, and the only place I thought about it was in Northumbria. But I don't know if it was just because it was really quiet and nice.
Northumbria is famous for being a wonderful place.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that, or when I've done my DNA, if you can believe that, not just through the police, it says I've got Scandinavian blood. So I wonder if I'm hearkening back to
Ragnarok.
Yeah, the invasions and them coming across to Northumbria, across the North Sea, and invading and raiding the churches on the coastline.
Pillaging.
Maybe.
I don't know. How much of your DNA is Scandi?
Oh, it changes. I think it's just a bit of a con on. I think it's Ancestry. We did it through
Right.
.com advert there.
What we're talking, 5%, 10%? What?
It changes. So it was at one point it was 5% Norway.
No way.
And now it's I'd have to get it up. Something like 3% Norway, 2% Denmark, and then like another percent. It might be another Scandinavian. It might be Sweden or something.
So maybe just shy of 10%.
8% is about now. 7 or 8%.
Where's the rest of your DNA from? Scythia.
Germany is another bit. So northern Germany, and pretty much all of England. So a bit down in Cornwall, most of Ireland, Scotland and Wales, and the northwest.
Because I'm sure when I did it back in the day, I was pretty much 100% Northern English. Which is why I gravitate to the North Lakes.
Maybe if you look at it again, if you've got the app, it might change.
No, I think I requested them to wipe.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. You couldn't be added into the database so the people wouldn't be able to find you or something?
I just think it's a bit dodge having a private company having your DNA on file.
Yeah. I mean, the state has my DNA, so...
Me too, yeah. But I thought it was 10 years. I thought they had to delete... Well, I say they have to delete it after 10 years. Do they really?
I didn't think that they did.
I thought after 10 years they had to erase the record.
It would be interesting to find that out and check up whether they still have it.
So we'll just have to scratch our fingerprints off after that, won't we? I've grown a beard, so I didn't have a beard when I was in the Nick. I just need to scratch my fingerprints off.
Yeah.
Hope they've erased my DNA, and then I can do what I want.
Okay. Maybe you just have to be like the Kevin Spacey in Seven and peel your own fingerprints off. Cuts them off every day.
I've not seen that for so long. I can't remember much about it. In fact, I'm not even convinced I've seen it all the way through that movie. I feel like I've
too scary.
Very.
Yeah.
Very.
You might like it now.
Oh yeah, it's a brilliant film. It's a classic of the 90s.
It
It would
is.
be in your top 20 90s movies, I would suggest. Maybe 7.
Yeah.
Might get in there.
Oh.
What's in the box?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought I'd killed a child this week. I thought I'd lost a child.
Again.
Yeah.
We were talking about...
there.
Yeah. We were talking about setting our children free. So my son has just started going to the park alone and meeting all
9, is he?
He's 10.
10.
Yeah, so he rides to the park, which is like less than 5 minutes away, and meets his mates there, and then they all ride around on their bikes causing mayhem.
Yeah.
And going to each other's houses for like 20 minutes. I think what's happened is he's drunk with freedom.
Yeah.
And he can't, it's like a puppy, and he's got all this new found freedom, and like nobody's watching him. And then, so what they do, or what he will do is, it'll be dead excited to go to one of his mates' houses, and instead of like, oh my god, and then they go to another house for half an hour, and then they come to our house for half an hour, and then they go again, and they just can't stay still. It's either that, or it's because he's been raised on an iPad. However,
buy an iPad.
Yeah, buy an iPad. Yeah, sorry. I haven't murdered him.
No, he's survived.
Yeah.
His newfound freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I'm pretty relaxed, or I was, when it comes to kids and freedom and stuff.
Yeah.
And my 10-year-old has been getting more adventurous. It's like, do you really? I don't want to push them too hard to do things, but I mean I would say for years he would be happy to go up to the shop and go to the shop on his own and buy some chocolate or some Pringles or something. I'm sure he's been doing that for 2 or 3 years, maybe since he was about 7, maybe. But they did bikeability at school.
Mm-hmm.
And he's had a bike for over a year now. And I don't know, it's a confidence thing. But he just didn't want to. He didn't want to take it on. But he did the bikeability at school. And since then, he's been wanting to go out on his bike. Any excuse, any time of day or night. I want to go on my bike to the shop or this and that and the other. And then last weekend, was it Saturday? I think it was last Sunday, I think. My youngest said the missus was out somewhere. I think maybe she'd come visiting her mum actually in the afternoon, early afternoon. And my youngest comes up to me and says, "Can I go to the park and meet my mates?" Not on my bike. I'll walk round. This would be, though, how far is the park? Maybe 15, 20-minute walk?
Something like that, isn't
from
it?
here.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, yeah, see ya. And he's got a phone this week. Last week he didn't have a phone because I'm not really bothered about them having phones or tracking or anything. So he went off. And then sort of hours passed by. Mrs. comes home.
Where's Uh-oh.
She weren't happy. I said, I'll go and get him. I'll go and pick him up. Give him another half an hour. I'll go and pick him up. Because he'd been gone maybe 3 hours, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite hot that day, I think, as well. So I thought maybe he'd be tired. He's been running around like a dick on the park all afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a long walk home, and it's up a massive hill as well. So half an hour passes, right? I'll go and get the sprog, jump in car, drive round. The park's got a little car park. As I'm driving over the brow of the hill, which is next to the park, I have a quick look over, and I can see him. There's like a slope. You can climb up some slope, and there's railings there. And I can see him hanging around on the other side at railings, messing around in the grass. Okie dokie. So I go and I drive round. I'm about to pull in to car park, and some fucking idiot is faffing around in the entrance. So I can't pull in. I was like, oh, fuck me. It's like trying to do an 8-point turn. So I'll wait. Come on. Takes fucking forever. Out she comes, and then I drive in, get parked up, get out of the car, have a walk around. There's like 2 different playing areas, and then the football pitches. He's fucking gone. Can't see him.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. Maybe he was cutting through, climbing up the verge, going to pull himself through the railings and walk home.
Classic.
Yeah, what we used to do. I'm sure we used to do that.
Yeah. There was a few of the railings. It might have been replaced now that had been bent. Somehow, I never figured out how people managed to bend wrought iron bars.
Yeah, it's with a pry bar.
I know, but
yeah, I guess.
Who took a pry bar out with them?
I don't know. I didn't.
I know. We should have thought of that, shouldn't we?
So it goes back to the car park, jumps in car, pulls out of the car park, to church, turn right, going up the hill. I can see him walking up the hill. And he's on the left-hand side, and the hill is a hill because it goes over the railway line.
Mm-hmm.
And on the left-hand side, there's a footpath on the right-hand side at road, and on the left-hand side is like a covered walkway, which is obscured. You can't see it. And he's just coming up to this walkway at top of hill, and I pump my horn. I'll pick you up, sort of thing. And he fucking ignored me. He didn't turn around or anything. I'm fucking honking on horn. There's a car right on my fucking Gypsies. Like, oh, for fuck's sake. So what I'll do, I'll go over the hill. There's a primary school there, and there's a lay-by. I'll go and pull into this lay-by, wait for him to come out the other side of this covered walkway.
Good idea.
Down the hill, and I'll pick him up there. All right. Pulls into the lay-by. Any minute now. I'll just looking in the mirror, looking over my shoulder. Where is he? Why hasn't he come through this railway line pathway? Minute pass, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. What the fuck?
Where's he gone?
He's walking home. He's got to the covered the path that's obscured from the road, so anything can happen in there.
Mm-hmm.
If you were a bully, if you were a vagrant, if you were a pest.
This is where all of the intrusive thoughts come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why hasn't he come out the other side? Have I missed him? Has he somehow walked past me? I drive home. Hey, love, is Sprog home? No. All right, I think I've lost him. I'll go and check my mum's, see if he's ended up there.
Yeah.
Drive round to my mum and dad's. Is Sprog here? No, we haven't seen him.
Right.
We've been in the back, though, but we'd hear the doorbell. What's going on? Well, I seem to have lost him. He was walking home, and then he kind of didn't come out the other side of the tunnel, and
yeah.
I went back to the park in the meantime. He weren't on park. So he's left the park, gone up the hill, vanished. He's not gone back on the park, and he's not at my mum's.
Yeah.
My dad puts his shoes on. Right.
Oh, serious now.
He gets in his car, and I'm starting to worry now.
Yeah.
I said, right, Dad, you go to the park, you double check the park. I'm going to drive the way home and see if I can spot him.
Yeah. Sensible.
I drive past the park, over the bridge, and I'm worried that something's happened to him on that walkway over the railway line. So what I'll do is I'll pull into lay-by, and I'll nip up there, and I'm basically looking to see if someone's pushed him off the bridge onto the railway lines. As I cross the road and I'm walking towards the hill, I hear Nino, 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 Nino. Look behind me, fire engine. I start running. So I run up the railway hill.
Yeah.
Up the bridge. Look over, nobody down there. That's good. Fire engine flies past me.
Yeah.
On its way to the park. Turns left.
No.
Opposite the church, like it's going to the park. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I run across the road. So I'm at the top of the hill where the park is. And I fucking see him on park. I was like, for fuck's sake.
Had he called a fire brigade for some reason?
The fire brigade went down Mill Lane and kept going. It was just a synchronicity. It was just really bad timing.
You're being taught a lesson, aren't you?
Yeah, why am I worrying? But I'm not a worrier. It's like I just let him fuck off with no time, like no phone, off you go. But that's all it takes. Like once things happen like that, and you wouldn't believe it, right? So I find him on park, and I was calm as anything. I didn't like freak out or anything. I said, "What were you doing?" I was just like, "Hey, all right." I said, "I saw you going up the hill. I come to pick you up, and I saw you going up the hill, going towards that tunnel. And I waited for you on the other side, and you never came out." "Oh yeah, we were playing hide and seek."
Oh, nice.
And I thought my friends might be hiding in that tunnel because you can't see anyone from the road.
Oh, right, okay.
All right. And then I came back to the park. Yeah, he was hiding in trees at the far side of the park.
Yeah.
It was totally innocent explanation for everything.
Yeah.
And I got all worked up, essentially all for nothing.
Exactly.
But there you go. I don't know. Don't know what to make of it. It's not my confidence.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Oh, God, I was so worried. Worried, sick.
Well, this is what, while you were talking about the phone and, tracking kids and all the rest of it, it preys on your, what's the word? Vulnerabilities, I guess, in terms of, or your insecurities or your worries, doesn't it? And I've thought about this because in the same way, because mine goes out and he's got a phone and, you can track it, but it doesn't tell you where he is. It tells you where the phone is.
Oh, right, okay.
The only way to do it to him is
ship him.
Yeah, basically. Or
like a dog.
You can. Have you ever heard of an Apple AirTag?
Yeah, you can put that in their clothing.
You could stitch that in, or make them swallow it every time they go out, in wrap it up in some cling film or something. But that only works. That pings off another iPhone apparently, or an Apple device. So it only works if it's near an Apple device. Does that make sense?
Right, but that wouldn't be a problem normally, would it? Depending on the range.
Well,
we work on a park.
She tried that. My wife tried it with him briefly, and it did. It kind of worked and didn't work. A lot of time, it just didn't show up on anything, basically.
Right.
So, yeah, with this, it sends. If it's got data and all the rest of it, it sends a signal all the time. If you want to look.
Well, as of this week, he's got his phone. Right. It's been given my missus, and the reason is he's starting high school next year. Mm-hmm. And it's one of these. I think it's locked down from maybe 8 o'clock. You can't use it from 8. Mm-hmm. And it'll, hopefully, if we keep on top of it, it'll just be for phone calls and texts. That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's what his is for. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it becomes a slippery slope when they get to high school and all the mates have different apps and stuff, and so they want it, and it takes some resolve to keep them off it. But that's kind of your job as a parent to try and do what's right for them, because it's so easy to just give them what they want, but you've got to try and be the adult.
Well, the state is intervening, or has intervened, hasn't it? Has it not? Is that been rushed through the 16? Is it 16 they're trying to say? In that?
Social media. So the Labour government is bringing forward a social media ban for under 16s.
Yeah. So, they...
Next year.
Yeah. They are doing the usual nanny state thing, aren't they?
Of course it is, yeah. Yeah. But, it's not about the kids, is it?
No.
So you're going to have to verify your identity, your age.
Yeah.
By under the auspices of banning kids from social media, they are enforcing every adult in the country,
right? Yeah,
to give the biometric data to third-party companies, or just download our wonderful digital ID.
It'd be much easier if you just had
so much less friction, and we won't lose it. We won't get hacked. We don't leave shit on trains all the time. Yeah. It's a terrible idea. VPNs is next.
I know.
This month. We're getting more information this month on VPNs.
I knew they would get rid of VPNs. As soon as it came out with the...
I don't think they'll get rid of them, but it's going to be, you're going to have to verify your shit.
Oh, right. I see.
So that means there will be a trail.
Yeah.
So if you are a dissident, if you're a whistleblower, there will be a way of tracing back to you, I presume.
Yeah.
It's fucking shit, man. It's really shit. And it's not just us, Canada, France, they're all doing it in lockstep, as usual.
Right.
The Wild West, the days of the free internet are over.
And it's easier to implement now, isn't it? Because everybody's got all the biometric data. Well, my phone.
I don't use any of that thumbprint or iris scan or bullshit.
Well, I was going to say,
that.
You can open your phone, can't you, if you want to, with your face.
You haven't to do that for Rozzers.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
They'll hold your phone in front of your face.
I know. Yeah, I don't.
If you're a dissident.
Yeah. Mine is with a code.
Yeah, mine is
memorized.
It's digit code or something. It's the best way. I forgot, mate. Don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. So. But it's all there, isn't it? I suppose it's all, they've got technology's got to a point where all of this is easily implementable because it's just there in your pocket for most of the day, essentially.
They seem to want to create a situation where you have your device on you 24/7.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
When you're out and about. Like, fuck that. Do you remember a time when we didn't have these fucking parasitic fucking machines?
Yeah.
Life was better.
Life
was better without them.
Yeah.
And now they're expecting that everyone's going to carry it all the time.
People do carry it all the time, though. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yes. But it'll be papers, please. Be mandatory, you would think. Whereas I think we're going to see... At the very least, it'll be a case of you'll have 2 devices, one for the state and one for you.
Right, yeah.
One with all your state bullshit that's been mandated you to have on it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I've avoided everything so far. I don't have the NHS app. I don't have anything to do with, I mean, that part of the digital ID, the selling point was make your interactions with the state easier. I don't have any.
No,
I don't have any. I don't want any.
You would, ideally, I mean, any interaction with the state is painful, spiritually and physically.
The closest I get is the fucking 10 emails a day I get from school. For fuck's sake. Ridiculous. Yeah. And again, sums it up how things have decayed. We're in our little group chat with our mates. Aaron was talking about after school clubs being cancelled on the day of. Because they can just send to all email at 10 to 3. No after school club today, can't they?
Yeah.
Whereas before, and they can do 6 emails a day. I have to get 3, 4, 5 emails a day from school. Oh, I forgot to put that. I'll put another one in. I'll do another email. That I have to fucking open and read in case it's something actually useful or important. Back in the day, they had to be organised. It was a letter home. It had to be printed. It had to be sent home wicked. And if it weren't on that letter, you fucked it. It doesn't happen then, does it?
No, exactly, yeah.
If after school club, someone isn't a staff member, oh, we're short-staffed. Yeah, we're short-staffed. No, I can't be asked. Maybe they just make it up and say, oh, no, we'll just say we're short-staffed tonight. No, if back in the day, after school club, it had to go ahead. Because otherwise there would be no one to pick the kids up. Whereas now they expect us to check our emails every fucking hour to see if they've emailed us to say, Jamboree club's cancelled tonight, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know.
They have jamborees at your school. I've heard that one of the schools in my area, in the high school, it's less intense with the messing. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Why is it primary school? Why is primary school worse than high school?
There seems to be quite a lot of it seems to be centered around, well, there's a lot of trips and things that they do with them, but like the school organization that raises money for the school, in addition to its government grant, the pupil, I can't remember what they call it. So when you go to school, when a school gets a child in there, they get a set amount of money for each child. And then if they have additional needs, the child, they get more money for that.
Send?
Yeah. So there's a few kids in my youngest and in my older son's class who've got like special needs or whatever, and they have specific teachers that work with them or whatever.
Right.
But then there's like a friends of the primary school organization that's constantly running stuff. So they sell like used uniform, or they do like a quiz night, or they do like something on sports day, and
bring a teddy in. All the kids tomorrow to donate. Yeah.
Break the rules day. And,
non-uniform day, £1 each.
Yeah, and all the money goes to this organisation. There's also a for like, they do these trips in the year, and there is a payment. It's called the yearly payment for their child, and they said that they're not allowed to ask for payments, so it is a donation. Right. So like they go, like last year one of them went to a safari park like Knowsley or something.
Yeah.
And it was like 30 quid. So there's like 30 quid for that. And then they do something else, and they go and make this clay. They fire like a clay thing and you make it into pottery. And that's like 20 quid. So like the yearly payment's 80 quid or whatever.
Right.
And then the other one goes on like a residential. That's like 300 quid. So there's all these things you've got to pay for. Might as well send him to private school.
Yeah, our youngest had the trip. Where was it? Waddicker, maybe it was, or somewhere like that. I'm sure we did it in the last year of primary school.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing Castlereagh next year.
Oh, right.
Year 7.
Right.
They do it year 7.
Get indoctrinated into the faith in year 7. We did that in year 11, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
and playing Wonderwall on guitar last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do it in year 7. I don't know what they do in year 11.
All right.
The eldest has got one
Psychedelics.
to France.
Oh.
France.
France.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Come on, Arthur. We're going back to France.
I can't place that one, I'm sorry.
Kinos. Peaky Blinders.
No, right, sorry, that's why I don't get it.
France.
Why is it? Because he was in World War One?
In France.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're Cillian Murphy.
I watched the film. I thought it was fucking lame.
I was going to say about that was a mistake. Like eking out the last juice from the...
Yeah, it was just like an extended episode.
That's what the Mandalorian was like. I said that, didn't I?
Oh, well, I'm not going to watch that. I mean, come on.
Hey, you watched The Thing on Netflix.
The Thing?
The Thing. What it was called? Peaky Blinders.
I watched the movie, yeah.
The Last Man. What's it called? The Returning Man? The Dead Man?
In the long black coat and the dark white head. I don't know. I think it was her idea.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'd stopped watching the series, so I was like 2 seasons behind and jumped straight into the thing. And, you know, if it doesn't have Solomon in it, it's just not.
Who's that? Tom Hardy. Lovely.
Yeah, Bane.
Yeah.
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 I believe his new series is quite good. Tom Hardy's one. Mobland, is it?
Really?
I've heard it's decent, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Have you not watched it?
No.
Oh, Gary from Nerdrotic said it's decent.
Right. Okay. He's based.
Base Sigma Chad.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
Another thing that's dropped is Project Hail Mary's on Amazon now.
Is it on streaming? So I might watch that. I've heard good things.
Yeah, that's supposed to be good. So I might watch that with the boy. He's gone on to do the final triptych of the larger triptych. The final trilogy of trilogies in Star Wars by himself. So you can watch those by yourself if you want.
Ray Skywalker.
Yeah.
He's done it. He got through him.
I think he's on the second one of those, so where Luke tries too hard. Yeah. What is he milking?
Some sort of space pig, isn't it?
It's like a penguin, isn't it? Something.
Yeah, sort of cow penguin with green titty milk.
Oh, it is that he has a cat. There's cows, isn't there? And
yeah,
there's also those penguin things, isn't there? The bird things.
Yeah, and then he tries so hard he dies.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, seen it once. Can't get through it. Can't get through it second time. It's that good. It's that good.
You don't want to watch it again, do you, and spoil it for yourself?
No.
That first reaction to it.
No, I'm wondering if they're going to get wiped from canon.
And they're going to start again.
I think they have to, don't they?
And go back to George's poetry, emotion.
Because it rhymes. I think they're going to have to. That's what Gary thinks, is that they're going to reboot from A New Hope. Remake.
What, redo?
Remake them.
A new
recast.
Hope.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Because
I mean,
it's
I
dead
thought
now. You know it's dead. Star Wars is dead. Mando and Grogu. What did it make? How much did it lose?
I don't know. I think it's obviously like a $350 million film, isn't it?
They spent over 20 million on one Super Bowl ad.
Oh, wow.
So the marketing budget is going to be 200 mil on that.
Yeah.
I think it finally break 200 million at the box office, I think. Right, so cut that in half, because they only get half.
Yeah.
They only get 100 mil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's lost hundreds of millions of dollars, that movie.
Mm.
It's dead. Star Wars is dead. And the only thing they can do is be quiet. Not do any more Star Wars. And then maybe in 10 years, remake A New Hope.
Yeah. I was wondering how long it would be until they
have to let George die. George has to die.
I was going to say that it would be after his death. Yeah.
Yeah, he won't. I don't know if he would have the power.
I don't think he did. He's sold it, hasn't he?
But I think they're not shameless enough to redo him while he's still alive. I think the backlash. No. You have to let go of the past, even if it means killing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to kill George Lucas and then remake A New Hope.
Yeah. And on that bombshell.
And who was it? It was the guy, Iron Man guy, weren't it? Who directed it?
Oh yeah, I know.
Favreau.
That's why I was thinking. Well, maybe there's a 5% chance, and even he
Stinker.
Yeah, it was just a terrible film.
Yeah.
Like all of it was terrible.
Clean house. You have to clean house. Lucasfilm has to clean house. Fire them all. You got to fire them all. Haven't you? You've taken the most popular brand in entertainment history.
Yeah.
And you've buried it. You've buried it and pissed and shat on the corpse, man. You've turned it from the most profitable franchise to one that loses hundreds of millions of dollars when they release a film.
I know.
Fire them all.
We've ended up speaking about Star Wars every single week for about 6 months, you know.
It just keeps giving, doesn't it? Because they keep releasing things that fail spectacularly.
Yeah.
You know? But Andor was actually okay. It was good.
Yeah.
Andor, especially season 2. Was
Yeah.
it season 2? I mean, both seasons were good. But it's a prequel, isn't it? So, I mean, ruins things a bit.
It's not even a prequel, is it? It's a mequel.
A midquel.
A midquel, yeah. In between the last prequel, isn't it?
It's a prequel to Rogue One, isn't it?
Yes.
And you would say.
And Rogue One it comes in just before A New Hope, doesn't it?
Yeah. Andor the series finishes where
the film starts.
Rogue One starts.
Right, okay.
Literally.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. It was a good ending.
Oh, okay. Spoiler alert. Can you remember how Rogue One starts then? I wouldn't be able to tell you how it starts. I can remember how it ends.
Yeah, Vader just tearing it up. And then they tried to do the same thing, didn't they, with Luke in the Mando show.
Oh, he turns up.
CGI.
Luke. Yeah.
Uncanny Valley Luke turns up and starts vaporizing war bots, droids, whatever. Yeah, for a bit of jizz factor. Get the geeks jizzing over it. That shit don't work on me. Your Jedi mind tricks don't work on me.
No. Not weak of mind. At all. No. Are we going to play the housekeeping or just...
Is it worth bothering?
Or just bring it to an end?
It's fucking 10:30, isn't it?
All right, fuck it then. Fuck you.
We have some producers to thank. Maybe we should do it next time.
Okay.
The thing is, we're going to go along next week. You know we are.
Oh, yeah. Chris.
So...
Atlantis. It's Atlantis, isn't it? Remembering correctly?
Always.
Yeah.
But...
Can you just remind me of what Chris looks like? Because I can't place...
He's tall.
Did he join in a car last time? Did he have to drive? Because he doesn't have internet.
He didn't have internet,
Right,
no.
okay, so I know who he is. That's who I thought it was.
A little bit of a beard.
Yeah.
Glasses, normally.
Yeah.
And he's on the spectrum, isn't he? Doesn't he say he's on the spectrum, is it?
I thought that was Brian. Not Brian. Fuck me. Beyond Orion guy.
Bernie.
He's said he's got ADHD.
I think most of our guests are on the spectrum.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure Chris stated that he has.
Right.
Can't remember which one now.
I don't remember
Autism,
Chris.
maybe?
Don't know. Maybe. I don't remember him saying. That doesn't mean, anything at all.
No, it's not like a judgment. It's just the way people are wired, isn't it? People are wired differently. But we like to label it, with this and that and the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Right. Should we fuck off into night then?
Go on then. Bye, everyone. Enjoy the podcast.
See you next week.
Bye. With Chris.
Chris Tolworthy.
Uh-huh.
Atlantis in North Africa and beyond. Probably.
Maybe he's found something out.
He has got new information, that's the whole... And that's why he's eager to share it with us.
Yeah.
And a new version of his book as well
Yes.
is available, I believe. We'll have a link to that. Right. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.